Chris, are you ready to record?
After that debacle, yes, I am.
It's good that you know how to count to 3.
It's the clapping that throws me off.
All right, Chris, welcome back to another episode of No INT Here, the podcast with Chris and me, Steven, your favorite host.
Okay, I'll go with that.
Okay. So today we are talking about the newest book from WotC, Strixhaven, A Curriculum of Chaos.
Yes, we are. By the way, thank you for getting the nice book.
Oh yes. We both have the deluxe cover, the special cover, the one where you had to travel to a physical brick and mortar store and give them physical cash, and they give you a physical book in return.
I didn't actually knew people of your generation knew what cash was. Like those dollar bill things.
Well, actually, I used a credit card.
So. Okay, good.
But yeah, so we got the nice deluxe versions. I can't talk about what I don't even remember what the plebe cover looks like. But the deluxe one looks very nice. It has a little bit of shine to it. It's a soft cover. I wish that the deluxe covers all kind of had a similar vibe. Because there's been a couple of deluxe covers that just look wrong on my shelf, and it bugs me a little bit.
Do you put them in order on your shelf of release date, alphabetical order, or just shove them in there randomly?
The way I do it is I do, of course, like someone who understands life and is not a crazy person. I do PHB, DMG, Monster Manual, and then I do all of the DMG sourcebook type thing, so like Volos, Mordenkainen's, Tasha's, and then I do all the adventure books, and then I have some third-party nonsense there as well.
I just do them by author's name, like a bookstore does.
Actually, Eberron is shoved towards the back of it all, because it's the weird one.
You didn't get my joke. That's okay.
Or
you didn't just ignore it as usual.
I didn't realize it was a joke.
They're all written by the same person.
I mean, technically not. This is written by...
Well, they're all produced by the same person, technically.
Who's the lead writer? The Strixhaven world designers. Doug Beyer. Taylor Ingvarsson. Oh, no, that's the art. Weird.
Okay. Guys that will never... It's like Apple.
I don't see just writer. All I see is designers. Yeah. So I guess the designers are the writers.
Yeah, did you know that if you work for Apple, that if you create something for them, like say for the phone, you can actually hold the patent for it. Now, they basically own you, but you are the person on the patent. That was interesting.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that much about legal patent holding. Surprising no one. I have 0 patents to my name.
Well, my brother-in-law's patent.
Oh, okay.
It's surprisingly not as boring as you think. All right, the book. The book.
Yes. Chris, let's get started. The first thing I'm going to ask you, Chris,
you have notes.
I do have notes. Well, first, let me start this off with Strixhaven, A Curriculum of Chaos is a world... I don't want to call it a settings guide because it kind of sold itself as a settings guide, even though it's more of an adventure with a little bit of a settings guide like stapled on there.
I would give it settings guide, but not in the traditional, like it's not Ebron, it's not Avernus, it's a location. It's more like a Waterkeep.
Oh, Waterdeep?
Waterdeep, keep, but it's more of just a not like a continent or a plane or anything.
It's one specific place. Yeah. And so, like, if you want to know more about the world, Arcanus.
Watch the Dune movie.
I don't remember. It was like Arcane something, Arcanus or something like that. Mm-hmm. You will get nothing. You will find out nothing about this world, except that there's power arcs at all the major key sites. But this is a adventure settings thing for Strixhaven, which is a location set in the multiverse of Magic the Gathering and now part of the Dungeons and Dragons multi.
Correct.
And the way that they built up this book was, hey, this is Strixhaven. It's a magic college. You can put it in any homebrew world or any world that you want. We are going to kind of present it like it's from Arcanus, but it is not technically, like, they do that in like the loosest sense, like it's located in this world, and then we're never going to talk anywhere else about its location in that world.
Yeah, why wouldn't they just throw it into Forgotten Realms?
Well, because it's not from Forgotten Realms, it's from Arcanus.
Okay, great.
Forgotten Realms doesn't need more shit in there.
I know, but it seemed silly to throw, I don't know.
Because, well, I mean, they could write an entire Magic school for Forgotten Realms, but you're not going to get the Magic the Gathering people. And D&D is... WotC is trying to mingle the D&D and Magic the Gathering crowds.
Cross-platforming?
Yeah.
It's
They want...
smart idea.
I mean, Magic the Gathering prints money, so...
Yeah, no shit. Wow, do they? I mean, that's... Yeah. No, and it's... I think we've talked about this from a business standpoint. It makes complete sense. I'm glad they're doing it. Is the smartest they could do business-wise. As a person that's played D&D and has played some Magic, I'm not like crazy about it, but I've played some. I don't know. Sure.
I have played no Magic.
Really? That surprises me.
You know, I keep thinking about it, but then all I hear is like people like, yeah, I just spent my life savings on some cards. And it just... That seems excessive to me. I mean, that's the same reason why I'm not into, like, Warhammer 40k. It's just because I look at the price of the minis and I'm like, well, I could do that.
Yeah, but, I mean...
Or I could buy new tires for my car.
Yeah. I mean, you can... I mean, when you go to the... you know, when we head off to the store and we're picking up one of the books, yeah, in the case, there's dice, which, you know, there's a whole nother fetish that people have to deal with, myself included.
Yeah.
And then, so you have all the dice, and then you look at the thing and you see all these cards. You don't necessarily, you can play D&D without 99% of the crap that's out there.
Yeah.
You can
except for dumb stats.
Yes. Yeah.
Need that.
We're the
stuff.
1%. And like the cards, you know, my kid has a whole bunch of cards. They're basically from the packs. We have fun. It's great. But okay, I get your point with that. So since you were going to pose the first question to me, I'm going to pose it to you.
Okay.
First thoughts.
I've been bamboozled.
Yes.
First thoughts. Let me scroll down to the bottom of my notes.
Those would be last thoughts.
Well, I have to reread them, so I remember what I think. It requires a lot of work from the DM, but I'm not opposed to this book. Like, it's... I wish there was more of certain things.
Such as? One example for right now.
Well, spells. This is a book about a wizarding college, and we get 5 new spells?
Yeah, I'll give you that. For sure.
Or like magic items. Technically 8, but actually 3 or 4 new items because one of them is just repeated for different schools. Like,
yeah,
it's. I would have expected a lot more. Actually, I mean, we'll go over the rabbit hole I jumped down for that. But back to how I was trying to get to my first question. Strixhaven is about a magic school. There are 5 campuses or colleges inside of the university. There's Lorehold, Prismari, Quandrix, Silverquill, Witherbloom. And each of these colleges represent 2 different ideas. Like Lorehold ideas are like shining radiant light and shadows. And so like it's one idea and then it's its opposite. Witherbloom is like life and necrotic energies.
Right, and there's law and chaos.
Yeah. It's kind of like basic stuff. Like you can look at like Planescape, like they did kind of like the same thing, except they separated the ideas so that they're different planes on the outer wheel.
It was funny because I was looking at this and I was thinking about, especially after our session last weekend at our table, that Prismari College is it's basically the art school, but it's elemental arts. Yes. And they have the Dean of Expression and the Dean of Perfection. We have one of each of those at our table, and I think someone's head might explode soon. But I mean, it's funny because I think that each college has... Well, let me rephrase that. I think that there is something in here for every type of player. And if you pick one school, you can pick something like it's almost like a subclass. Yeah.
Well, actually, that gets me to my question I wanted to ask you, Chris. If you could be enrolled into Strixhaven, now you have no talent whatsoever, so...
Okay, so it's like...
Sorry, I meant no magical talent. If you could be enrolled in any of the colleges, which college are you enrolling in? And then I want you to talk a little bit about that college, just to kind of give an idea to the
that's interesting.
If you want me to start, I'm happy to.
Well, the one I always kept coming back to was Silverquill. Definitely not eloquent, I would say, on my side. But
what?
I don't know. Why I like it? I don't know.
I misspoke. Silverquill is the Radiance and Shadows. Lorehold is not.
But it's, they have battle raps, man. I mean, come on. Well, how awesome is that? I I mean, sure. I mean, it's slam poetry competitions.
Yeah.
And in the form of spells.
I get it. Yeah, I get that entirely. It's basically like the Bard's College.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I haven't played a bard since I was 14. Ooh, I got to go to camp. And one of the classes they offered was.
Are you talking about in real life?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. It was
you played a bard in real life?
Yes.
Oh.
No. That I think bard would be a really cool costume if you were a LARPer. You could really get into it. But I'm sure now all of them look like the guy. Anyways, so that would be my choice. I just found it. Honestly, I found it the most fun read.
Yeah. It's actually kind of weird because they say like Silver Quill is more like bard or cleric adjacent. I'm not sure I see like the cleric.
See the cleric.
But I guess it's kind of like the radiance that they're talking about.
Oh yeah, I can see that now.
That one feels a little looser to me than some of the other colleges.
Well, and plus that was, I mean, it was the first place I knew, because I was skipping around. I was looking at it. Was the first time I noticed the Owlin, and then I had to go look at that, and then we'll get into it. Because the Professor of Radiance is an owl.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I do have that right?
Yes.
Yeah, I do. Okay, good.
I suppose my college, if I had to choose one, Chris, if you tie my hands and force me, it's going to be Prismari.
Yes, I know. You want to blow shit up.
Well, no, I just like elemental magic. Like,
it blows stuff up.
Well... Yes, but like elemental kind of nonsense type stuff. Like I always like doing elemental things. Like within like the past month, I did a bunch of articles on Dumpstat for a Cult of the World Maker for Mudenko or Madanko. I forget how my pronunciation for this word that I use.
It's your word.
Well, it's Madanko. You heard it here first, folks. But like. I just like elements. I think they're fun. The inner planes are my favorite planes. The outer planes has more shit written about them, but the inner planes are just more exciting to me.
It's got a funky picture with it too. Very purple. But
yes. Well, like actually, like the artwork for Prismari is kind of like purple oranges. Like it's just like a blending of those two colors everywhere for it. So it's kind of a strange mix in my mind, but Prismari is dedicated to the arts. Let me read from the book. Its scholars view art as the fundamental form of self-expression and magic as a tool, a medium, and an inspiration. So it's kind of very kind of artistic nonsense using elemental magic, as you said before. Right. Normally I'm not so, I don't know. Art for me, there's a point where like artisticness becomes just like, all right, cool. You can throw paint on the wall.
Yeah, but now you can be artistic and blow things up.
Yes. Well, also they make a bunch of elementals here. But their two deans are the Dean of Perfection and Dean of Expression. And so that's the two conflicting ideas within this college. Do you have another college you want to talk about, Chris?
Well, yeah, the college I would never go to because I'd fail it immediately was Quandrix, because it has math. And, we've seen that I have a hard enough time adding 3d6s together, so I might avoid that. But I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's got some good stuff to it. I was just like, I'm reading it, I'm like, Quandrix College, let's see what's it say exactly. Wield the power over fundamental mathematics of nature. I'm like, math. I know it's about nature, but it says math. I'm done.
Yeah, I'll say when I first was reading through this book, it said College of Numeromancy. I thought it said necromancy at first. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, this one's mine. No.
Perfect. No. Yeah, so the deans are substance and theory. So it's equations, and you could see like cones, cubes kind of floating in the air at this college.
If I could ever get my wife to play that, she'd automatically join that college.
Okay. Well, the other one I'm going to talk about, our fourth one is Lorehold College. It is the College of Archaeomancy, which is archaeologist or archaeologist. This would be like my runner up. So I would do like a major in Prismari and then a minor in Lorehold. But it's like you find ideas, like you're digging in ruins, trying to come up with explorations of ancient civilizations, all that fun stuff. They're focused on order and chaos, and that's how you like look at history. Is history ordered or is history chaotic?
Right. Yeah, and that was an interesting one too. I also enjoyed reading that one mainly for that standpoint. I like how they viewed it as how you it wasn't that how like what history is. It was how you viewed things that happened in history and whether or not they were. I'm trying to help me out here.
Yeah, no,
Words
like
hurt head now.
Like, does history repeat itself?
Right.
Like, is that the order that you're looking at, or is it just chaotic circumstances that happen and situations?
Yeah, thank you. I really should have written my notes down instead of trying to keep in my head this time. But yeah, no, it's randomness versus a
like history is bound to repeat itself. Like that's the order, whereas chaos is like people just throwing shit against the wall and hope for the best.
Let's see what sticks.
I mean, the other exciting part about it, Lorehold, is that the college itself overlooks a chasm littered littered with ancient ruins. Like there's just ancient ruins below you, and you just send students down there and be like, come back with something fancy.
On the picture, though, there's like this giant walkway, and it's just like this bottomless pit. It's like you're a first-year student. They're like, hope you got a levitator fly spell prepped. Boink, there you go.
Well, also, it's like, how long has this college been here? And you guys still have this like bottomless pit of ruins that you could send students down there to find stuff?
Yeah, because they only graduate like 2 students a year because all the other ones are dead. God only knows what's down there. So then there's Witherbloom, which I'll be honest with you, I kind of started reading and I was like, meh, and just kind of skimmed over it.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like the Druidic college.
Yeah, which is why I skipped over it.
But it is Dean of the Root and Dean of the Vein. So the Root is focused on life, whereas Vein is kind of focused on death or necrotic energy. This one, actually, the Dean is a vampire, a neutral vampire. And I don't know. This one was it was my least favorite of all. Yeah, this one I definitely felt like the least inspired from. I think there's a lot of people that might be excited, especially those who love playing like druids. Like they might be interested in this. But then again, at the same time, it's like it is a very specific druid. It is life and death. It is growth and decay. And so I don't know. This one I have the least to talk about. Like the college campus is set up in a swamp. It's like of course it is.
That's appealing.
Yeah.
Where do you live? The swamp.
That's how you're going to get a bunch of bugs while you're sleeping. But yeah, so that's the basic breakdown of Strixhaven. And then there is a central area.
Right, the main campus before you go to your college.
Yes, and I can't remember what that's called off the top of my head.
It is the central campus.
Campus.
There's different sections to it. The biblioplex.
Yes, the biblioplex
is the center
of
pretty much everything. It's the giant library.
It's very kind of cool. They have a really cool picture of it on page 11, where you can see
12.
like
12. Oh yeah, no, they have
pages.
a cool picture, but then they have the map on 12. Okay,
I don't really like the map that much.
Oh, I like the map.
All
right, whatever.
Well, we'll get back to that.
We'll talk about art in a little bit.
But so it's like this big stone arch, except the arch is not like connected everywhere. It's just like stone pillars that are arranged like an arc.
Yep.
Over the campus, and this is these arcs are strewn about this world at like major nexuses of magic, and so of course the school's gonna have like a massive arc going around it.
So that area is broken up into, let's see, the major places they have labeled on the map, but
why is the tavern as big as their stadium?
Well, hello, have you been to college? So, I mean, you have, all right, and I know how it plays into everything in the book, but Archway Commons, great. Fire Jolt Cafe, I feel like that was made so they could make one of the magic silly ones. But the stadium makes sense. The tavern, you gotta have a tavern, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, cafe is just kind of like traditional, like, college coffee, student drinking coffee, and like it's kind of like that, like, all they do is do caffeine and try to take their tests and like stay afloat.
Oh, I guess we went to colleges in different generations because the tavern was all they do is drink beer and study and barely pass college. So yeah, that was us. So then the biblioplex sitting in the center of it, with the giant arch stones not attached to anything. I liked that probably the most out of all the places.
Yeah, the massive library
feels. Yeah, I know. Odd, right? I feel like
I didn't know you could read.
Well, the pictures are pretty.
Sorry, I made you lose your train of thought.
Not that hard these days. They could have done so much more of that. And they do, kind of.
Yeah, well, and that's one of my problems I have with this book is, like, I wanted to learn more about it, but they just provide a paragraph. And then as you're reading through the adventure, they provide specific information about locations. And that is incredibly frustrating and difficult if you're trying to run like a homebrew thing where it's like, well, where's that information I saw? And you're like flipping through the book trying to figure out where this building's details are. And it's like, well, it's actually in this random chapter 7, like squeezed in between 2 encounters between, you know, like a giant scorpion, whatever. And it's just like, this is really frustrating for me to get this information out from the book.
Right. And that was also my biggest pet peeve with the book. Why not? And we're just saying the same thing in 2 different ways, I think. Write the whole book. Write the world. Or write the campus. Write everything out. Are you worried that people are going to be bored to tears? I don't think so. I mean, Billy, you write a whole chapter on that. It can be a massive chapter where you describe the rooms and you describe everything, and then create an adventure where they go back to reference the stuff. They did it in reverse, like you were saying, in my opinion.
I could see it helping when you're running the adventure to have it all right there, but that only helps you the one time when you're running that specific part of the adventure, not when your players are going back to the library and you want to have a scene, or if you're like in a different year and you're like, oh, actually I want to do something with the library again. Where was that? Damn it. I found that to be one of the big downsides of this book adventure source book thing.
Yeah, no, and I guess what I'm trying to say with my biggest pet peeve of the book is they write it for the adventure, not for the setting, which is why I think you didn't call it a setting book in the beginning, which I agree with. I wish they had done it the other way. I wish they had written a setting and then, tacked on an adventure at the end.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what they did with Eberron, whereas there's like a level 1 to 3 kind of mini adventure, and this one does at least go up to level 10. This adventure does take you from level 1 to level 10. I don't want to say it cheats to get there, but they do milestone leveling, and so like you don't really see how much experience you're getting, but like when I was doing some rough estimates here and there, like you
did the math?
I did the monster math. I don't know. I like, you don't do a whole lot in order to level up within their adventure, but we'll get over to the adventure type stuff.
Getting experience for doing the story.
Yeah. I suppose like a good compromise for what we're talking about, where I want that information for like the Biblioplex, instead of it being at the level 1 adventure kind of like nestled in between like a bunch of encounters and stuff, you could have put it in its own chapter and be like specific sites within Strixhaven, and then like here's the Biblioplex, here's the field, here's the information on this house you'll have to storm in an upcoming adventure in a different year. That way you can have an easy reference point, and just in like within the adventure just tell them like, hey, check out this chapter, and you'll have all the information.
Yeah, no, and
but I mean, then that's also like you're like the DM is flipping back and forth, so it's a frustrating position no matter which way you're kind of like looking at it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's a formatting issue. That isn't actually anything to do with the substance of the book, which...
I mean, formatting is part of the book. So.
Right. Very true. But it's, from what the book is providing for information-wise, I don't want it to sour my feelings on the book overall.
Yeah.
All right, so
and we've jumped ahead. Actually, I want to pull us back before we go over character options, because that's chapter 2 of this book. I just want to point out that we go through all of the deans and several students on campus. There are no evil creatures on this campus.
Nope.
There's vampires, there's treants, there's orcs, there's trolls, there's such and such and such and such. All of the professors are good or neutral. The vampire is described as cruel, is neutral.
Yeah.
It's crazy. There's like this veneer of good on everything. And like the literal chef on campus is a troll. They claim that everyone loves him, and the only complaint that the troll has ever been given is that he gives out too large of portions of food.
Do we know what the food's made out of?
Maybe troll meat, because he has a ready supply of it. Just hacks a couple of pieces off. Ugh. Like, this could have been a real chance to show us something interesting. instead it's just like this pleasant drivel that doesn't really do anything. Like, oh, the troll's beloved. The troll gives out too much food. That's our complaint about him. Like, that's not a real complaint. That's just trying to be humorful, cute. Like, I don't know.
All right, well, two things there.
Yeah.
One, not really the climate of the world we're in right now to be able to do it right without a lot of effort.
Oh, am I going to cut out this next section?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying you can't do it. I mean, yeah, sure you can do it, but it's going to require a lot of these books, it seems like it's written with a hammer. It's just pounding stuff in and, like putting it together with pieces, but it's me putting together IKEA furniture. I'm just banging it together till it fits. And that's fine. I like this book.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to add
spoilers, Chris.
Yeah, if you're going to add that aspect of the game into the book, you need a scalpel, a very delicate, because there's going to be, you're setting yourself up for too many people to just rain down negative comments on you. And I don't blame them for avoiding that. No, the world is so negative now.
So
why setting yourself up for that? No. I'm wondering if you're dying because you've been really nice lately.
No, I just like the thing is like there's no conflict from
no,
these.
There's not. It's a happy camp
from what this is. Yeah, like and like that's frustrating for someone doing their own like kind of homebrew thing. The conflict in this story is from an outside force. And for like the adventure, it's from an outside force. And so it's frustrating because it's like I want to make a story in this, but you're not giving me conflicts within the setting you're providing. You're providing a very harmonious,
well, getting tenure
peaceful,
can be
Yes.
getting tenure can be brutal.
That's a very specific story.
Yeah. All right.
But
so we're almost at 30. We're almost at 30 minutes, and now we're there.
And we're not
I
even.
Can't believe we've made 30 minutes. Okay, I have to say this.
Okay, go for it.
This is Hogwarts. It's Hogwarts condensed into 4 years.
Uh-huh.
We have an outside bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
We have
who was a former student. So we're jumping to the adventure now.
I mean, I wanted to lead with it, but I was like,
well, no, it's taken inspiration from Hogwarts, and like,
it's Hogwarts.
There's similarities, yes, but like, it's more like it's inspired by Hogwarts. It is not a direct ripoff of Hogwarts.
Oh no, it's
and that's
not.
what people want. Like, people want a Hogwarts, a Harry Potter RPG. Now there are several that kind of emulate it or inspired by it to give you that. Kids on Broomsticks, I think, is one. There's another one I can't think of off the top of my head. I think someone's even made like, well, I'm definitely sure someone's made like a 5e similarity to Harry Potter, which just sounds weird with fancy and casting in a Harry Potter universe, but whatever.
No, I get it. I mean, it had to be said. I mean, if you love Harry Potter, this should really appeal to you. Mm-hmm. If you hate Harry Potter, this should still appeal to you. Just don't think about it.
Yeah,
I mean, think about going to college.
You don't get an owl sent to you letting you know that you've been accepted.
He's just your professor.
Yeah. But yeah, actually, speaking of owls, let's go ahead and jump over to chapter 2, page 29. We get character options. Mm-hmm. Very limited kind of character options.
Yeah, 1.
I say that it's 10 or 11-ish pages, 12-ish pages devoted to character stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We get a new race option known as the Owlin, which is just an owl humanoid. It's basically just think of the Aarakocra, but replace their claws with dark vision, and you're pretty much an Owlin.
Yep, and they both fly, which I will always have issues with.
I don't have a problem with flying races because you can just knock them prone and then they...
Yeah, but all right. Well, that's a discussion for another time. I just think it's an unfair advantage at early levels.
Yes, at early levels, especially. I mean, a lot of the monsters in Monster Manual don't have good ranged options.
I know.
And so when you're creating monsters, you have to think not just melee attacks, but also like ranged attacks. And unfortunately, ranged always seems to get kind of like, whatever.
You're gonna be fighting a lot more humanoids at the early levels because they can carry bows or crossbows.
Yeah, crossbows.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, spellcasters can do the range stuff for you, but yeah, like, you think of like an Ankh-Egg, it's like, I can bite.
It's just lunging up in the air.
Luckily, like, the Ankh-Egg at least does have like it can shoot out acid a little bit, but like, an Owlbear doesn't have anything to do there. yes, it is an unfair advantage because unfortunately a lot of the monsters in the monster manual are just big sacks of hit points that just go around and like smack things with a bite claw.
And at lower levels especially, because I was actually looking that up. Anyways, another issue for another time. Okay, yay! If you're a student of a college, you get to roll on tables, and we know my feelings on tables.
But these are just suggestions. Yeah, so we then go into choosing a college, which is your background.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and say this up first. If you're running a game, don't allow these backgrounds unless you're doing it in Strixhaven.
Right.
Because not only do they give you spells, they also give you a free feat, which gives you cantrips and a spell that you can cast once per day.
They are very location specific.
Yes.
And the location is here.
Don't allow them unless everyone is taking Strixhaven backgrounds, because then they'll be on an equal playing field.
Yeah,
but
I'm wondering if they're going to throw these in there. They can't throw them in there. Like for Ebron, you can be one of the houses. That's an option. You go to D&D Beyond, it's like, bam, you can pick one of those. And they will fit. I mean, it'll be a little odd.
Like you have to massage it a little bit, or allow like planar travel in your worlds. But
I don't think you could. I don't think this would fit. You couldn't do it.
Well, I mean, if you putting Strixhaven in your own world, it could fit, but I wouldn't allow someone to take one of these backgrounds if you are not doing something specific towards Strixhaven, because then they're just getting a free power up compared to everyone else.
It's awesome.
Because I mean, like at level 1. If you're a wizard, you get another spell that you can cast. You get additional cantrips that you can cast. You get an expanded spell list. Like there are no downsides to these backgrounds. So like, just don't include them unless you're doing Strixhaven, and then force everyone to pick one of these backgrounds.
Before we go down another rabbit hole, real quick question: when I see this, it makes me wonder: is this them trying to throw stuff out there for 5.5e on like buffing characters big time like this?
Well, I think one of the biggest criticisms of backgrounds as 5e continues, like before, like everyone loved backgrounds because it gave you a way to use like your character's history.
Right.
But then as people continue to play, they realize these background features are rather useless.
Yeah, they're flavor with no flavor.
I mean, they give you a skill. They typically give you 2 skill proficiencies: a tool, a language, equipment, and then like a useless feature that you might use like one time.
If I go into town, I have a chance of singing a song, and they will give me a room for free. It's like, great, I have 8,000 pounds of gold because there's no money, no gold economy. I'm buying beers for everybody for the next year.
Yeah, so I could definitely see like this is kind of like going forward, like 5.5e,
an attempt to
6e, whatever you want to call it. Like they're now going to give out feats as part of a background. I could see that. That would mean though that like characters built for 5.5e are going to be way more powerful than like, well, I guess maybe not way more powerful depending on like the feats that they give, but they're going to be more powerful than a 5e character.
Cool. Maybe monsters will have better armor classes. Anyways, let's not digress. All right. So moving forward, the spells?
Well, there's 2 feats.
Okay.
There's the Strixhaven Initiate, which is what the feats give you, which is just two cantrips and a level 1 spell that you can cast once per day, right? Based off of what college you get. Not overly exciting as a feat, but when you couple it with a background, it's very powerful. And then there's the second one, which is Strixhaven Mascot, which is kind of cute.
Familiars.
Yeah, it's a 4th level feat, and you have to have the Strixhaven Initiate feat first.
Yep.
But basically, you just get a couple additional options that you can do for Find Familiar, and they're a little bit more useful.
Yeah, it's funny. The first thing that popped in my head when I looked at this, and it's probably because we're playing a Pathfinder campaign, was Pathfinder, because you have to have the first feat to get the second feat. Yeah. So it's, I like that. I think that's great. I think it requires you to plan ahead. You're like, ooh, I like this. All right, I better do this.
So long as they're short feat chains, because we're playing Pathfinder 2.
Oh, good God.
But like Pathfinder 1e or 3.5 D&D, like it was like
there's this branching out shark that I get lost in.
Feat chains, and like a lot of the feats were just feat taxes. They didn't really do anything for you, but you needed this feat in order to get this other feat that was actually useful, or you had to get like several useless feats to get this really, really good feat. And so
I'm doing that now.
Yeah, so I don't mind like 1 or 2 feat.
So
chains.
this is the 5e feat. This is exactly what 5e is. It's like, hey, let's take that idea. It's pretty good, and we'll make it super simple.
But actually,
I got no issues with that.
I was reading through Strixhaven Mascot, the feat, and I was just like, I could just make this into a Find Familiar spell. Just be like, when you cast at 3rd level, you get this. When you cast at 5th level, you also get this. Like, I think that they could have just updated the Find Familiar spell, and they don't need to lock it behind a feat.
Yeah, just made it so like the Warlock, where you get you can have you can get an imp like everybody does. If you're a student, you have these 4 options. Okay, I can see that.
Yep. But that gives us over to our spells. We got 5 new spells.
Missed opportunity. I agree 100% on that earlier statement.
Yes, they should have. And like I was like complaining to my wife, I was like, they only have 5 spells. She's like, why do you need more spells for? It's like, I'm gonna disown you. You always need more spells.
Yeah, and I had wished that they had done this in a way that, let's just say, we always get stat blocks, and there's a lot of creatures.
I have opinions about them
in the back with stat blocks. I don't care. Give me that whole area filled with new spells.
Well, you're a player, so obviously you don't care about stat blocks. So yeah, there's 5 spells. None of them really stand out that much to me, except for one of them. And if you are at all active in like D&D forums or things of that nature, you already know which one kind of stands out to me. But there's Borrowed Knowledge, which is a 2nd level spell that you get proficiency in a skill for 1 hour. Not really.
Nope.
I don't know. Like, it seems useful, I guess, but the duration's kind of short, especially if you're trying to, like, sneak through a house, or if you had to climb up a mountain, that's going to take you more than an hour in your athletics.
Not if you're an owlin. You're not climbing.
Yeah, that's fair. There's Kinetic Jaunt, which is a 2nd level bonus action spell, which increases your walking speed. It's basically like the mobile feat, where you don't incur attack with opportunity, that type stuff.
And this is a bonus spell. I mean, as a bonus spell, it's good.
Yeah. Vortex Warp is a 2nd level spell, and just allows you to move your allies around the battlefield. I love control spells, so I think that's great.
Yep.
Wither and Bloom is a 2nd level necromancy. You just deal necrotic damage, and a creature within that area of effect that's an ally, you can cause them to roll a hit die and regain hit points, which... cool. And it actually kind of harkens back to like 4th edition, where you could have healing surges, where you can cause your allies to roll their healing dice and regain hit points. So it's kind of harkens back to that.
Well, if I had that spell, I could just follow you around and you die, because it also kills like all the vegetation in the area. So what would you eat?
How dare you? My mind is not a vegetable. The last one is Silvery Barbs, which have been all over the internet as a 1st level reaction spell. And I understand why people are find this atrocious, because there is no saving throw. You impose disadvantage. Well, actually, you impose someone to re-roll their D20 and use the lower roll. So disadvantage, but they don't call it disadvantage. So it stacks with disadvantage. So it's interesting. So the creature could be rolling with disadvantage, and then you could cause them to re-roll one of the dice and take the lower one. And that appears like they use the term re-roll throughout this book as a way to stack advantage and disadvantage type situations, which we'll get to. And then you can choose another creature and you give them advantage, not a reroll, advantage. So it doesn't stack with like something with advantage. And so like this is a very strong 1st level reaction, because like, I mean, by the time you're 5th level, you don't really use your 1st level spell slots that much. Nope. So why not just like give yourself free advantage and impose like an additional disadvantage on another creature?
Yeah, I don't see what the problem is with this. Oh, wait, I'm really? A player.
Yeah.
Playing a wizard currently.
You'll find out when I do it on you.
Oh. No, I don't like it so much anymore.
Yeah, so it is definitely
60 feet's a nice range, too.
Yeah, it's definitely a strong spell. It's like,
hello over there.
It's like, well, I could counterspell, or I could just screw you over and then help my allies with advantage. I don't know. I feel like 1st level is a bit too low. I think 2nd level, even then, like 2nd level, I feel like maybe that's too high of a cost. I don't know. I told my wife to look at the spell because she's in one of my 5e campaigns, and she was like, ooh.
I will take that, thank you.
I guess we do need new spells. But yeah, so
okay.
There's a couple of good ones, and then Silvery Barbs is just like, some DMs might be uncomfortable with that spell, and so you might just be like, no, or I don't know. It definitely marks a power increase in spells.
I'm wondering if...
Because, I mean, it's either that or you do shield and you get a +5 bonus to your AC, which is until the start of your next turn, which is really, really powerful.
Yeah. Normally I would say it would be bypassed by most players, because right or wrong, players want to do damage. There's very few people out there that like, I mean, when you were like, yeah, I like area control spells. I love them. I mean, I wrote what a 5-part series on an Undumstat. I mean, I think they're great. Making this a reaction spell, Silvery Barbs, that's what makes it overpowered.
If it was like a bonus action or an action where you can impose this advantage on, or like impose a reroll or whatever, like I would be more okay with it. But a reaction is just like,
that pushes it into the realm of probably a little too OP.
And also, the reaction is which you take when a creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself succeeds on an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw. So you actually get to wait until you find out whether the attack hits or not, and then you can cause them to reroll. So if they get a natural 20, you're just like, screw you.
I never thought of it that. I that's a really good point. I didn't think of it that way because a lot of the stuff now is just like you don't know what the
yeah. Typically, it's like when you are a target of attack, which means before they even make the roll. And so like this like steps it up a whole notch. And so
I'm liking
maybe
the spell.
Second level is a better spell level.
I'm liking the spell more and more.
I can tell. But moving on from spells, because, I mean, that spell really has been talked to death. I'm sorry to spend so much time on it. Magic items.
The only one that matters is Bottle of Boundless Coffee. I need one.
Well,
in real life.
So there's...
Can you make that happen?
There's 8 new items, but technically 5 of them are reprints, so 4 new items. Bottle of Boundless Coffee is just a common item that just gives you unlimited coffee. It costs 100 gold. Holy crap.
Hey, man. Studying's hard.
Well... Either that's way too cheap for a magic item, from an adventurer's perspective, or that's way too expensive. Actually, no, sorry. Let me reverse that. It's way too expensive for an adventurer's perspective, but from a world-building perspective, 100 gold for infinite coffee? I mean, that's
coffee shop.
That's how you wreck economies.
Yeah, no, it's there's no.
But I mean,
it's not. Yeah, it's not one of these.
I mean, technically, each time you drink the coffee, you roll a d20, and there's a 5% chance the bottle won't make coffee for another hour.
Then it's the Seinfeld, no soup for you and no coffee for you, go away.
Yeah, I always have problems where it's like infinite coffee.
No, I don't. If anybody,
or like the alchemist jug where it's like, you can have 2 gallons of wine every day. It's like
or mayonnaise.
That's fair. I think that's a more important one.
I'm surprised you of all people don't want a bottle of Boundless.
I mean, I like good coffee. I have no idea what this tastes like. I like single roast.
I know.
Fancy. Like I want to know where the coffee came from. I want to know how it's feeling that day.
You make me feel guilty if I don't have nice coffee in my house when you come over.
Also it's like 100 gold and it doesn't mechanically do anything.
No, it doesn't. It's a flavor item.
Yep.
It fits here. Now, I mean, if you're a student, it's worth every single gold piece.
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, and like there's like some primers so you can get an additional spell that you can cast in a day. But the biggest thing I think that people are going to have opinions about, whether good or bad, is that they finally price out what a +1 magic weapon costs. 300 gold pieces.
I don't remember that. Oh Jesus, it's right in front of me.
Page 38.
I never even.
It's 300 gold pieces for a +1 magic. Yes, I know how you feel about tables.
I'm scarred from 1E. I'm sorry, but yeah, no, that's speaking of interesting. Did you incorporate that in this week's article?
I'm so the week that we're recording this, I made an article about pricing magic items. It's only part 1 out of God knows how many. But yeah, like I talk about that, and like I don't think anyone's gonna be happy about 300 gold for a magic +1 magical. I mean, there might be some people who are like, yeah, that's fine. But I think most people are going to be rather like, that's way too cheap.
Yeah.
I've seen people say, yeah, I sell +1 magic weapons for 1,000 gold. And there are people online that are just like, you can't sell it for that little.
I know. It's.
I mean, that's what I charge you guys is 1,000 gold for a +1, 4,000 for a +2, and 16,000 for a +3.
Right. Because when you have a +3 item, at that point, you should be killing things at a pretty high level and with creatures with a high CR, and you're getting all this money. We can spend a year talking about the gold economy in 5e.
There is no gold economy.
Exactly. So let's not do that.
Yeah. So, like, however you feel about that, +1 weapons, 300 gold, it's canon now.
Yep.
Which...
Oh, wait, but you can always go back and change it like Star Wars is doing. So, you never know.
Yeah. Actually, before we get on to like the meat and potatoes of this book, we haven't even reached chapter 3 yet.
I know.
For a settings guide for a magic school, the fact that there are only 8 new magic items, 5 of them are just repeats, only 5 new spells, to me, it just feels atrocious. Like for an example, Pathfinder, 2nd edition, has their own adventure path for a magical school in the Megambian Expand. While it is 6 books, it goes from level 1 to 20. If I just look at the first couple of books, so it's similar page count, the first book contains 10 new spells, 17 new items. The first 3 books of the adventure path, about the same in page count as Strixhaven, contains 19 new spells and 48 new items, and this isn't including like new archetypes, feats, or similar things of the like, or like monsters or anything like that. It's just like, you could have done a lot more magic items. You could have done a lot more spells to really like, and just be like, these spells are specific to Strixhaven. So if you come here, like, your players don't immediately have access to them. Like, they can find them in the library. They can find them on like ancient scrolls. Like, that's really exciting when they uncover new spells
at the bottom
through
of the
research.
The bottom of the giant,
the chasm. Yeah. In pristine condition,
with littered bodies of dead students around you.
Yeah, and like that's what I do with like homebrew spells and stuff. It's like my wife is playing a wizard, or did you briefly play a wizard? No, someone else in our group briefly played a wizard, and like homebrew spells would be like, yeah, you find it as part of like the treasure hoards, where it's like you're finding this lost knowledge, and it's like these new spells, and it's like, this is really cool because now I have even more power, and it's because of my act specifically of adventuring.
Well, and that brings me to 2 points. The first one goes back to what we were saying before. I wish they had taken the time to flesh this out and make that the entire book. Throw a tiny adventure in the back. Throw like 4 mini adventures in the back. Not this big, long, giant thing. Yeah. I mean, just flesh this out. I mean, I actually like the fact that they give it some lore. You know my feelings on lore. I think it's great. But man, they could just made this book to introduce, especially if you're going to do cross-platform, make this your new world.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Forgotten Realms. We'll miss you. Make this your new place. No.
Yeah, the adventure runs from page 40 to page 155.
Make the book run that much, and then a bunch of mini adventures that run for 40 pages.
I mean, that's pretty much what the adventure is like mini adventures set on campus.
So I mean, it was, again, missed opportunity. If they want to shift gears, if they really wanted to really just, we're going after the magic crowd to come into this now, and maybe even go get the other way, then I wish they had done it. The other part is, I see why they didn't do it. It's hard. I mean, could you imagine if they wrote 100 new spells? 25
I mean,
for
second edition did it.
Yeah, 25 for each college. Yeah, but if you're actually, you're making my point for you. You looked at the 2E spells?
They are wonderful.
So all over the map. So not balanced. It's fucking crazy.
Well, actually, I'll link to the name spells that we looked at for one of our deep dives, where it's like autos, like tools, or like auto, like it was like part of like all of like these different spells that auto came up, and they're just like, why do I need to change one tool into another?
Yeah.
Why do I need a tool extra dimensional pocket space?
Right.
Why do I have to have a piano play by itself? Why is there a spell for that?
Yeah, but then you get Bigby with his punching fist and his crushing fist, and you have all these spells where you're like, holy shit, this thing is crazy powerful now. It's like, yeah, I mean, they're just...
They combine 20 of them into one spell.
Yeah, the range of the things that the if you want to make 5e's about balance.
Yeah.
And if you want to, it claims to be about balance.
It's about superheroes playing as adventurers in a fantasy world.
Yeah, it's balance for the players.
Okay.
The poor monsters get killed all the time. You actually have to put a lot of effort into creating magic items and spells that will fit properly. I mean, look at what we just talked about with Silvery Barbs. I mean, people are losing their minds over a first level spell. If we added 25 unique spells to each college, and then maybe another 25 that were just for everybody.
I didn't say 20. I didn't say 120 or
how hard would it be?
150 new spells. I'm saying like you could go in with your idea. You could do like 5 from each college, in which case you're only looking at an additional 25 spells.
Okay.
You could look at like 1 for each college, so you have 5 there, and then like another 10
generic Strixhaven, college spells. It
doesn't have to be Strixhaven related. Just be spells. This is a magic school focused on magical discoveries. Why aren't there more magical discoveries in this book?
Okay, so we're giving 50 new spells. They did 5, and people are losing their minds over 1.
Well, that just shows they don't know how to balance their own spells.
Right, so that's why they didn't do it. Magic items, same thing. Magic items are hard. they're fun. Everybody loves a magic item, but then you don't realize.
Well, they don't have to be hard because WotC says, "Oh, you don't need them in your games," and it's a perfectly balanced game.
No, that's horrible. That they should burn in. Whoever said that burns in hell. Burn
in one of the 9 hells, not all of them.
No, the worst one.
Okay.
I'm going with Dante with 666 levels, bottom. Because they each get gradually worse. I don't know. Missed opportunities.
And let's focus on the adventure for the rest of this.
Okay, yeah, I'm done.
I did not read every single word throughout the adventure. I skimmed through it just as a heads up.
Wow, that's more than me. I'm looking forward to hearing what the adventure's about.
The adventure follows a party of adventurers. No surprise there.
But they're not adventurers.
A party of
students
with a yearning to adventure.
Are they named Harry, Hermione, and Ron?
What's the fourth one?
I don't know. The guy that it's like it's like in Star Trek. The nameless character that beams down with a red shirt that dies.
Are you gonna do Neville like that?
Oh wow, it could be Neville. It could be poor Neville. He redeems himself at the end of the movie. What?
Spoilers for
a 7.B
20-year-old book.
Yeah,
10-year-old book. I don't know. Yeah, so actually, there's actually a couple of subsystems that you get to learn about, which is relationships, which is really simple. The player decides if someone is a friend, beloved, or rival, and they have points. So 2, 3, -2.
You know what that sounds like?
Placement. And then at each scene that they have with that person, they decide whether they gained a point or lost a point based off of how they want their relationship to go. So it's like I could have yelled at this person and made them feel bad, but I think I still gained a point with them in the relationship points. I didn't like that. It just seemed bolted on and does nothing.
Doesn't fit.
Yeah. Now, you do get things if someone is friendly towards you, but they're really, really minor boons. Just like the players, I don't want to say get something negative things happen towards them, but they're really, really minor flavor type things. Though the book is oh, it's so nefarious. It really isn't.
Nope.
And then there's there's extracurriculars, which are kind of cool because you can take up to 2 of them, and then you get a D4 added inspiration bonus, basically added to one of your roll. You can burn one of the D4s to add it to a roll. Mm-hmm. And each extracurricular has 2 different skills associated with it. Some of them make sense, like future entrepreneurs of Strixhaven, insight, persuasion. All right, I can see that. What I don't quite get is the Dead Languages Society, history, and athletics.
I didn't see that, but wow.
I don't. Okay. The books are really heavy, I guess. Or maybe, I don't know, Dead Languages Society, what are you using athletics for?
Scaling down the chasm to find the books of the dead societies that are at the bottom? I don't know.
It seems weird.
Maybe it could be like the Greeks who established the Olympics and you have to do Olympic things.
Well, no, actually, Dead Languages Society, so maybe you have to kill someone at the end of it all.
To make them dead so you can steal their language? I don't know. I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, so some of them make sense. Some of them don't. And then also you can take on a job, which replaces one of your extracurriculars, but you get paid 5 gold every week that you're at this job, which is, wow, this school is way overpaying their workers. Yeah. I mean, it's good. Because it's the player's handbook is unskilled labor, 2 silver a day. Strixhaven's you get a gold a day.
Yeah, whatever. That's called what you have to do to get your scholarship. You got to work. Sorry.
Yeah.
Paid, whatever. And then if you go work at the coffee shop, yeah, you can get paid and have a little money to spend over at the tavern. College has changed since I was a kid.
Yeah, you need several jobs in order to maintain yourself at college now.
Yeah, I guess so. I had one and made a lot of money.
Or you take a lot of loans.
Didn't do that either.
But yeah, so it's I don't know. That's just 5 gold a week for being a groundskeeper. All right.
See, and that's another part. That's great. I like that. I like the idea. I like the concept. I like the money, how much they make aside.
Yeah.
I like all of that.
Yeah.
But why is that included in the adventure part?
We'll get there. There's also exams, which is kind of
my
weird.
Daughter's taking finals this week, so I feel for her. I can't talk about this part.
You know the greatest thing about being an adult?
Never
No
had to take
exams. Yes,
ever.
it is wonderful.
Oh no, that's not true. My wife made me take one of those personality exams that our whole family was taking.
Oh.
Yeah, annoyingly on target. It was frightening. So I hate exams still.
I think I forget, Myers-Briggs. I think I got INTP. I don't know what that says about me, but there you go.
I had to take it for work, and yeah, I'd forget what it was, but it wasn't conducive to what I was doing for a job.
Okay,
Let's just put it
let
that
me
way.
rephrase that. You don't have to study things you don't want to study about and take an exam on it.
Yeah, and plus you can take the exam and be like, I don't give a shit. Throw it away.
But yeah, so the reason why you have these extracurriculars, these jobs, is because this adventure assumes there's going to be large time gaps because it is spread out over 4 years.
Right.
And so, like, yeah, in between each set piece adventure, there's going to be like a month of downtime.
There's downtime.
There's going to be a couple of weeks. There's going to be a couple of days here or there, kind of spread out. And so, yeah, these extracurriculars give you a way to show that your downtime did something or that you made money at your job. Now, the adventure doesn't specify in between each set piece how many days or weeks or months it should be. So that's on the DM.
It's first year, second year, third year, fourth year. I mean, that's how they start off. You're a second year student. You're a third year student.
Well, no, but in between the set pieces throughout the year, they don't be like, all right, so this adventure happens in this month, and then this adventure happens in 2 months from now. Instead, they're just like, whenever you feel like it. It's just like, I don't want
Do
to
they
have
have a
to
big
think
test
about that.
coming up? Is there, you got to build in some time to study. I mean, come on now. They're college.
And then there's several pages about NPCs, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's always nice to have NPCs in there.
Just like
again,
we're doing.
None of them are evil.
Yeah. Well, I guess we just started doing NPCs, every other week? We're each doing one on Dumpstat?
Yeah.
Yeah, next week, let's both do NPCs.
And like, weirdly enough, all of these NPCs, if you get on their bad sides, like the entire campus turns against you for some reason. It's
You're
like
a pariah.
if you piss off this random first year student who doesn't like to talk with other people, the entire campus turns against you.
It's like, okay, so I can't be mean to the popular kids. What
Or
the
like,
hell?
Or there's like a teacher's pet, and it's Talana. The faculty doesn't trust you or help you much, for rumor has it that Talana has found you wanting.
Yeah.
And that's if you get on her bad side. It's like...
So we're not at college, we're in high school now. Great.
Yeah, well, it's like, how does all of the faculty trust Talana's opinions?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or there's Maktak Grosh, who's an orc. Also, the orcs in Strixhaven are weird. They have like these really long tusks.
What page is that?
He's on page 59.
Okay.
It kind of looks like a tongue in this picture, but it's his tusks. But if you make him upset with you, no one on campus who isn't another player character will study with you. No one. Everyone likes Makatak, and they will do him a solid and not why does everyone on campus like this guy?
Because it's the popular kids, man. I mean, it's bringing up way too many negative memories from my high school
There's
years.
also Xanther Bowen.
Mhm.
If he doesn't like you, no one on campus invites you to parties or events.
Most popular student, one of the most popular.
Of course, if you get on his good side, you enjoy a high social rank as a result of your association. Most of your peers fall all over themselves to do your favors. So only most of the peers, not everyone.
And Chaotic Good would just assume that he's like the smart class clown kid. Great.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's the guy that beat us up in high school.
There's like two extremes here where it's like, if you get on their bad side, oh, you better prepare yourself because there's a storm coming. If you get on their good side, some good things happen. That's fine. Nothing crazy. If you piss them off.
Yeah. If you go to the next page, Campus Kerfuffle.
Yes, well, this is the...
Kerfuffle.
Yeah, well, it is the first part of the adventure, so the adventure truly starts at page 60, not page 40. All before that is going over subsystems and NPCs.
Kerfuffle. Why?
Because
I
it's
just like
not a
saying the
huge
word now.
thing.
It's the word.
But yes, now we can
Sorry.
actually... we'll kind of gloss over the adventure. Basically, what happens is you join the school. There are set pieces. There's about 8 to 10 events for each year. They happen whenever the DM wants. They don't really give you a timeline for when they happen. They just kind of give you like, here's
what happens your first year.
Yeah.
Here's what happens in your second year.
So like you'll go into the campus. First day you get to do a
kerfuffle.
A kerfuffle. No, you get to go on a clue hunt for your first event. first you got to flip through all the descriptions of the Biblioplex, and then it talks about the encounters in each of the places in the Biblioplex. There are a ton of skill checks, which I appreciate. Like they're definitely leaning more towards skill checks than combat in this. And the combat in this is actually rather
boring.
Yeah, well, like the final fight of year 1, you're a 3rd level student. It's against a giant scorpion, a CR3 creature, so it's boring.
Yeah, guess what? You're gonna be a sophomore next year because you're not gonna die.
Yeah, well, it's just like, why is that the final fight of the year? If you look at Harry Potter, the final fight of the year was fighting a fucking professor and then melting his face off.
Yeah, and then what? Yeah, you go through a lot of bad shit when you're really a young kid, huh?
Yeah, and like this is like, it's a giant scorpion that doesn't do anything special and it's just a bag of hit points. Oh, look, the Allen student is flying above it and shooting arrows and it can't do anything.
Yep.
Because this is a really boring fight.
Well, I mean, you can't.
Great.
I don't know.
I feel like as a DM, like if you want more interesting combats, it's going to require a lot of work on your part.
But the whole book is not combat based. I think we've talked about this before, and I have strong opinions on it. And it's not right or wrong. It's just play style. The game now is heading towards storytelling.
It is.
And this is a story.
But then they have no rules for storytelling. What they have is pages and pages and pages of combat, pages and pages and pages of combat spells, and then they do nothing for role-playing. They do nothing for social encounters. They do nothing for exploration. It's just pages of combat.
This is problem solved with this book. This is all about social interaction.
Except it doesn't do anything. It's just you roll a skill check. Did you pass? Great. Did you not pass the arbitrary number? Well,
but you're going to be sitting. There's going to be a lot more sitting around at the table and players talking about what they're doing.
Yeah, there's
role playing.
Yes,
there's a lot more.
There's a lot more of the storytelling going on.
Right, and that's not my style.
Yeah,
but
I'm not opposed to that.
That's why I jumped off the castle wall in our latest adventure. I'm going to die.
I'm not opposed to people doing that, but also like the strength of 5e is combat because that's where all of the rules, that's where all of like the class features, all the class abilities, all your spells all have to do with combat.
And this book is making a shift.
Yes, it's making a shift to where you're just rolling skill checks, and that's how exams are done. So like one of the exams is you take an exam, or the first exam is on Slaads, which is strange. I don't really feel like Slaads, chaotic frogs from Limbo, are that well known by people.
Well, that's why you have to take a test on it. It's all arbitrary weird shit.
I think the other ones is like Otyug and Owlbears. So it's like those are much more, in my opinion, better well-known monsters, especially owlbears. I'm surprised owlbears aren't first one. But basically the way it works is you study. So you decide, are you going to pull an all-nighter, in which case you're going to get 1 level of exhaustion, but then you get to re-roll 2 dice during the exam. And
better have that bottle of never-ending coffee.
Yeah, well, so the problem with that is first level of exhaustion imposes disadvantage on all ability checks, and it specifically states you can't get rid of this exhaustion until after the test. So even like a lesser restoration is not going to get rid of it. So they are forcing you to have disadvantage. So you have to roll twice, take the lower.
I didn't think about it that way.
But then when you do an all-nighter, you get to re-roll 2 checks. So it's not that you get advantage; it's that you re-roll. Yeah, and so I can kind of see what the designer was thinking. It's like, oh well, you'll roll 2 dice, take the lower. But we'll allow you to re-roll one of those, so you can take the lowest one, re-roll it, hope you get a higher number. You still have to take the lower of those 2 new rolls. Mm-hmm. But disadvantage, I don't know. Like I'm torn on this like one. A really harsh, like a really really harsh thing for doing an all-nighter. Now you could do the 2 re-rolls on like the same check and re-roll both disadvantage dice. Yep. But I don't know. Like that seemed more like bashing a square into a circular hole.
Hammer versus scalpel.
Like that is not a good trade-off.
No, I like the fact that they're getting away from advantage and disadvantage. Everything's advantage, disadvantage. It's like,
now, I mean, this is just making advantage, disadvantage like stronger.
Yeah,
in many ways because now it's a reroll.
It's changing it up.
But like in 5.5e or 6e or whatever, they do advantage, disadvantage. Then they do rerolls. Like now we're getting more confusing. Are they going to be like, well, we don't have enough like specialness to it. We don't want to tell people to add +2 or +3 to their checks. Instead, we'll just be like,
yeah, but they don't tell people to add +2, +3.
Exactly. That's why they're saying reroll.
Yeah, I know, but
And so now it's going to be disadvantage, advantage. Then it's going to be rerolls,
Mhm.
and then what's the thing after that going to be to help add like more fine tune to it? Like bounce a d6, even numbers you get a bonus, odd numbers you get a penalty. Like what's after advantage, disadvantage, rerolls, and then what? Like you just pick a number and you hope you're right.
yeah, roll a d4, and if you get a 1, reroll again, and
Yeah, I don't know.
throw the pointy dice at somebody.
But basically, yeah, like so you study. So you can study with someone, in which case you get 1 free reroll. You can do an all-nighter, in which case you get 2 rerolls, but you have level of exhaustion. And that's pretty much how you study.
Yep.
Then there's the testing phase where you make 2 checks based off of their specific skills. For the studying, you can use any skill that you want, so long as you can tell the DM like how you think it's going to help. So you can do sleight of hand for a study on Owlbear. When you're studying,
So you're cheating. You have a crib sheet, and you're
Yeah.
just like,
there is information on cheating. Basically, just you make a deception and a sleight of hand. If you succeed on both of them, you pass.
if you don't,
If you don't, you fail the exam.
Yeah.
But then there's 2 checks you make. It starts out really easy at DC 12. And then at year 4, it's like DC 17. So it does get harder the more years you go. I don't know it. When I was like going through it doesn't really line up with like proficiency bonus or ASIs.
Again,
where
math.
it gets
Okay.
harder. But
trust you.
yeah. And then if you succeeded on one of them, you succeeded, you passed the class. If you succeeded on both, you aced it. If you failed both of them, then you fail the exam. And then you kind of keep track of that stuff on a little sheet to show your progress during the
Yeah, fantastic.
and then you repeat that multiple times throughout every 4 years as the adventure slowly unravels and you find out an ex-student hates the school and is trying to cause chaos through the perfection and utopia that is Strixhaven. And then the
Not
final
gonna say
fight is
Not gonna say it.
against a low CR creature. Yep. Because you're like level 10 and it's like CR 8, CR 9, and it's just using a generic stat block, and it's well, that's a boring fight.
Yeah, I know. It's again,
But
I like fighting things.
well, yes, I will at least say, at least the Bullywug is finally getting love, because that's the big bad evil guy at the end of this. It's a Bullywug.
Why?
His artwork's kind of cute. I'll throw it up there.
Yeah,
it takes forever for you to finally see artwork about him, but
Yeah. So yeah, quick note on art while you want to.
Yeah, go for
I mean, sliding. I mean, what else is there really to say about the adventure? I mean, you can go into all sorts of different systems.
well, actually, I wanted to talk about stat blocks, but
Yeah, that's where I wanted to go. Couple things real quick. I'm surprised you didn't love this book because there are so many new systems, and you are all about systems.
some of the systems are cool. Some of them are just like the relationship thing is like, ugh.
Yeah,
whatever.
I was gonna say you're about good systems, so I'll get your feelings
I
on that.
like the
at the end.
testing one.
Okay.
The testing's kind of neat. Yeah.
So art, yay or nay?
The art's really good. I
Yeah.
enjoyed the art.
I gave it a big thumbs up.
I would have liked to see more generic artwork of the university, because I was confused a lot of the times. There's a lot of focus on like characters, which I understand, but I wanted to see more location set pieces, so I had a better idea, and so I can show the players when I'm describing this, especially on like a virtual tabletop, where you can be like, here's what you're seeing, and then like you can describe more of the scene based off of that artwork instead of just
The other thing I wanted to point out, because I've been doing a bunch of them lately and having fun, because I used to do it once. The maps in here, but here's the thing on the maps.
Yeah, they're all Dyson Logos maps.
Yeah, but here's the thing on the maps. Like if you go, like I'm looking at Scriptoria collection. What I appreciate with these maps is everything is to scale, and there are some maps where things aren't really to scale, but it's important. It really is. I mean, if you look, like I'm just looking
It's
at
kind
this
of
one.
funny. I saw Dyson Logos maps and I just skip them.
Yeah, I mean, the chairs are the right size, and they're scaled right for a chair to desk, a comfy chair, a couch. They're all scaled. They're all the way they should be. They're all the right size. They're all set up in locations where, yes, they are going to cause, if a player, now granted, they're not going to have to be running around in these rooms because there's no freaking combat, but it's an obstacle. You're going to have to figure out how to go through it, how to move around it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really appreciated that from that standpoint, mainly because I'm just doing a lot of maps lately and I've been having fun with it.
I was just thinking, it's kind of weird. Like this is the thing that you focus on, where I was just like,
You're just like,
whatever.
And systems, I was like, oh god.
Yeah.
All right, so
and also speaking of that, did you like the campus map at the back of the book?
yes.
Okay. You see, I think it's nice when you're far away from it and you can see everything, but when they zoom in on the individual universities at the beginning of the book, it didn't really do anything for me because it didn't show enough detail.
Okay.
It was just here's some buildings and here's blah blah blah.
And doing
Also, I can't tell. Is this university miles and miles wide?
Yeah.
Based off of the artwork and the maps, it's it'll take you 2 hours to walk from one campus to central.
There better
campus.
be a shuttle bus. I mean, that's all I got to say.
I don't know. It's just I can't tell. It's got to take me an hour to walk from one side of this campus to another, 5 hours to get to the campus across the street from me.
It's a good thing you got that job making a shitload of money because you can buy a magic item real cheap now. The outdoor maps are a lot harder. I suck at doing them. When you do it, that's why everybody does dungeons. Yeah. Because it's on a grid. Yeah. You can make it on a grid, and a square is 5 feet, and if you take the time and do it, then everything fits. Outdoor, you're you put your fingers up. You're the length of my index finger is 100 miles. I don't know.
Yeah, so you appreciate the maps.
I do.
That's good because my eyes just glaze over when I look at maps.
Okay. So we both agree on artwork, which is great. Hey. And let's do stat blocks.
So the biggest thing I want to point out, why are the professors, the deans of the universities, the top in their fields, only CR7? Seems really, really low, especially as an Archmage is CR12. And the deans, the professors, the top ones in their fields, the ones who have such power.
No, see, because
they are 1 CR higher than a regular mage.
Because you're missing the point.
And the students will be 3 levels higher than the professor.
Those who can't do tea. And they are living that adage.
That's really rude.
Someone here is mad at all the teachers they had and just screw those guys. That's because they can't be a real powerful wizard, so they have to go to school and teach smalls to make themselves feel big. That's the only thing I can come up with.
Yeah, and your rivals, the highest level they get is year 4, they become a CR4 person. So not a challenge for an individual level 10 character.
I have a question for you, and I was thinking of this when I was looking at the book, and I know you'll know the reason on it. So let's say, I'm looking at Silverquill, Professor of Radiance, and it's an Owlin. Uh-huh. But how come on the stat blocks they always say medium or small humanoid, which an Owlin can be? Well, it's a bard.
Yeah, these are generic stat blocks. The professors themselves, they all share all professors of Radiances share it. So if you looked at the beginning of the book, it's the dean uses the same stat block as all of the other professors of Radiance use. And so the dean is just as powerful as every other professor in his school.
Which I know you touched on. This didn't make any sense to me. I kept flipping through the book thinking I was missing something to see where the dean's stat blocks were. They don't exist.
No, they use the professors of their school stat block. Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. They're only CR7? What?
I want Professor McGonagall's... Oh, wait, it's not Harry Potter. Sorry.
I want Dumbledore's stat... Yeah, even the person in charge of this is not even that high. I think it's CR14.
Dumbledore just 1 level higher than Gandalf, really? Because, what does he do? Without his wand, he's nothing.
I'm not getting into that that debate with you.
We'll do that podcast later.
The stat blocks are all pretty good. They are more interesting than ones that have come previously in this edition. Mm-hmm. They are more than just a sack of hit points with a multi-attack feature, which is good. But none of them really stood out that much to me. There's a bunch of Elder Dragons are CR 22, 24, 25. If you have Fizzbands, they're different dragons from that. So if you want more dragons, you might pick up the bestiary for this. But
what did you think of? Where's I going with this? The elemental stuff, since you like the elementals.
I thought they were cool. They're interesting, but also none of them really stood out. If I was wanting to do an elemental encounter, then I might flip through this and look at what was there, but none of them really stick in my mind very well.
The one that did, just because of and I finally found it again, just mainly because of the picture, the brackish trudge. Now, I said we didn't like that campus so much.
It's like an elephant.
But it's like a weird elephant turtle dinosaur thing,
hippo thing, yeah.
which I liked, but like the thing in the front of its mouth is crazy,
and it's this huge thing, and then it's CR3.
It's a large plant. I'm like, well, that's not a plant. That's another evil turtle that they're throwing out there. But it's not. It's so disappointing. I feel like he should just be. I feel like it should be a huge monstrosity that squishes you, but nothing is a huge monstrosity that squishes you in this book. Which, again, so
like I think that puts us to our closing thoughts.
Right. Steven, what do you think of the book?
It's an adventure book, not a settings book. Which I feel like maybe I took this the wrong way from their advertising, but I feel like it was being sold as a settings book,
Agreed.
Not an adventure book. Because they're like, it's a book about going back to school, and then there's an adventure in it.
Yep.
And like it was never. It's an adventure book, and there's information about the adventure and the setting that the adventure takes place in.
Mm-hmm. I think people that were really hoping for the crossover book with Magic are going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, there really isn't that much information about the different places around Strixhaven. Like, actually, there's no information about the places around Strixhaven. And if you want detailed information, you have to sift through the adventure. Yeah. I also feel like the adventure itself requires a ton of work from the DM.
It does.
To make it feel like cohesive.
Especially with the systems that you have to add in, keep track of, and all of that. Because players aren't going to do it. I mean, they're supposed to. But I don't know.
What about you?
So the book isn't for me because, again, it is role-playing based, and the combat, as we've said many times, makes no sense. It's like, ooh, I hit it with something and it dies. I mean, it's really not going to be that hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I highly recommend this book. I mean, I think the book was great. It did a lot of really good things, just not the things I was looking for. I don't want an adventure. I was excited like you were to maybe see a new campaign setting. It wasn't that. And it tried, but it did it in an order that I didn't like. It focused on the adventure and not on the setting, but you could get the setting if you really drilled down. And I don't know.
Yeah, I would say like you get like the same amount of setting if you're running something like Curse of Strahd.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But it's only about this one campus and nothing outside of it.
Right.
And it's like, well, I can't really reference Curse of Strahd's setting very well because it's all like interwoven into the adventure.
Silvery Mist shows up, run. Just run. I think they missed an opportunity on some levels to maybe start getting away from Forgotten Realms and start creating something new, since we know it can't be Kryn from Dragonlance because that whole debacle, which I think might have been neat, especially as they move forward and the game is kind of going in a new direction, not a wrong direction, not a different direction, just a new direction.
Well, it's more of towards pop culture type stuff, like actual play kind of like,
right. And
we want to be played more. By a wide audience.
By a wider audience. We don't want you to have to sit in your basement and worry about being beaten up by bullies and go to hobby shops. And okay, maybe that was just me in my youth. So if they were going to do that, I think they could have gone a different way with the book. But overall, I mean, I think the book, art was great, maps were great, stat blocks were pretty good. Yeah. I wish there were more spells. I wish there were more magic items. You're always going to, I mean, people are going to be like, oh, I wish there were more stat blocks because they wanted different things. They're used to 8 million stat blocks from the other books. That's personal opinion. Overall, though, you're looking for a book to buy, I'd spend the money on this.
Yeah, I could see myself running this adventure.
Mm-hmm.
But it would require a lot of work to make it feel whole, or you need players who are going to be super excited.
Right.
For this, and we'll go all in on the adventure.
And I can see people doing that.
Yeah.
I can see the new generation of people that play doing that.
I already hear like 1,000 new podcasts being started as they play through this adventure.
Yep. Oh, I never thought of that. Oh, yeah,
but like,
so true.
If you have someone who is just showing up to hang out with their friends and have an adventure, I feel like those players are going to struggle a lot with this adventure, as there's nothing really pushing them forward. Mm-hmm. It is all based off of like the players.
They got to graduate, man.
You see, but like, but they're just going to like kind of like sit there and like, all right, like the adventure doesn't drag you along.
Yeah.
And so it and what is there of the adventure is just like beams of light, and then like the DM is supposed to fill in everything else in between the beams, and then there's this burst of light, and so it's like 4 years I mean, 4 like timeline years
Right.
of adventure, and there's a lot of onus on the DM to make everything feel flowing together, to make it feel cohesive.
You know what? They could have solved the entire gold economy D&D situation right now.
Oh.
Make this school so fucking expensive. They're so deep in Hawk with the loans, and the interest is so crazy. You got to go adventuring nonstop till you're 60 to pay it off.
That would be a weird adventure. Yeah, so you go to the school for 4 years, nothing happens. You gain $500,000 in debt, and now you have to go adventuring
Now you're
to pay it off.
Forever.
So Chris, what would you rate this book out of 5?
I'd give it a 4.5.
4.5.
And
Wow.
again,
Wait, 4 out of 5 or 4.5?
4.5 out of 5.
Okay, nice. High
Probably
praise.
closer to a 4. Again, I wouldn't play this book, but just because I wouldn't play this book doesn't mean that it's not a great book.
Okay.
I wish there were some more things, different things, but for what they put, what's in the book, I can't bash them for what they didn't do. They just didn't do it. What they put in, great.
Okay. Wow, that seems really high. I only give it 3.5.
Okay.
So,
The 0.5 is, I know you're going to be like, whatever, is the art and the maps. If they weren't
okay.
great,
So if they weren't great, it would be a 4.
yeah.
Okay.
Because, I mean, how many books have had just such crappy art lately?
So we're looking at a 7.5 to 8 out of 10 for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good
All right.
solid number. And I think it's one of the better books that have come out lately.
That makes me want to change my 3.5 to 3. Just to spite you.
Yeah, you can do that. That's fine.
I know. Like, it's a good book. Like every single adventure book from WotC, it requires so much from the DM.
And that's why I think your score's a little lower than mine.
Like, I just look at this, I'm like, oh, God. It's like Storm King's Thunder all over again. Like, I don't want to.
I do have to say, and this isn't about, well, it is about the book indirectly, but we just Dumpstat finally got around to getting access to everything we bought the whole package on D&D Beyond. This book's not freaking included because it's a new book. Now
Well, that's how
we can get a discount on it.
Well, that's how D&D Beyond's Ultimate Package.
They literally it was a 3-day difference between when they offered the package and when the book came out. That seems like cheating. They would fail that skill check and fail their cool.
Well, that's just how Black Friday deals work, I guess.
I guess so. That's fine. But that's, I recommend the book. Steven would say,
if you don't mind doing a lot of work.
yeah, if you're a DM and you got the time.
Yeah, I
Go
mean,
for
this provides a semi-solid foundation. I don't want to be too praiseworthy. And you could definitely, like, if you also have a lot of ideas for what type of adventure you want to run in, like, a magic school, great. Run this adventure alongside your own idea.
Yep. And again, I wouldn't want to play this, but for the vast majority of, I think, the people that are coming in now, this would be great.
I mean,
the
majority of people coming in all grew up on Harry Potter.
Yeah,
you didn't grow up on Harry Potter.
It's Harry Potter.
You grew up on, I don't know.
Well, according to the
Violent
80s, Satan.
Cartoons, I guess.
Satan and devil worship? I don't know. But I mean, genius to capture magic crowd, Harry Potter crowd, the active role-playing crowd that would rather fight maybe one thing a session, sometimes one thing every 2 sessions, but just, you get to hang out with your friends and talk in a cool fantasy world.
And make funny voices.
Yeah.
And be
looking at all that, that's why I think it's give it such a high number. I can't bash it because I don't like it because it doesn't provide what I want. That's not fair.
Thank you, Chris, for going over this with me today. I hope you
appreciate
guys enjoyed our
What's going to be next?
look at it. I have no idea. We'll find out in January.
Okay.
But in the meantime, if you guys enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe, leave a review on wherever you find podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
If you really like us and want to make me blush, join our Patreon, join our Twitter, join our Discord. Hang out with us. Yeah. I'm always on there. Chris,
we have a very active Discord.
Yes.
All right.
Any final thoughts?
I feel the need now to go write a whole bunch of spells and have you yell at me because they're not balanced.
Good. You go do that.
All right.